what I'm doing here is making a part that would traditionally be made on a lathe. You can see here, this is a square aluminum block that is going to be a round flange. That's going to be my first tool. That's a facing tool with 5 carbide inserts. There's a sequence of tools in the overhead turret that holds 7 more tools for a total of 8 different tools. Now what I'm going to do is manually drive the machine till I find my part. I'm losing Z. On a machine like this, Z is forward and back, Y will be up and down in this manner, and X will descend away from me and toward me in this manner. Now what I'm doing here is using a tool called an edge finder. What this is going to do, it's going to tell me where the edge of my part is in relation to the center of my spindle. And I'm going to touch the edge finder on this edge of the part and go underneath it and touch it on the bottom edge of the part. And I will do my math and split the difference to find dead center on the height of that part. I will also do the same for the width. And I will touch the side that is looking at me and the opposite side. Now what I'm going to do is set my tool lengths. But first, I'm going to send the machine home to call up my first tool, and so the machine can reorientate itself. I entered a temporary code into manual data input mode so I can do this process. So now I've set my first tool. I will tell the machine to give me my second tool. For safety reasons, the door has to be closed for the machine to move. So hopefully you can see this through the door with all the dirt that's on it. And that is an example of how the machine changes tools for each sequence on the part. Okay, well I stopped the machine here so you can see after the machine made its first pass how it made the rough arcs around the outside. You can see on the top where it's still flat because it's still going to make some cuts around that diameter because the tool can't take it all. You'll understand what I mean about that when you see the part as it progresses. We're going to take off a lot of material here. You can see here, this is a pretty big machine. I'll go around to the other side here, maybe get a little bit different view of what's happening. You can see here, this is another pallet. This whole door right here actually spins around to the inside of the machine. And this table right here also spins around so that you can attack the part from many different angles. Now here's the other side of the machine. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on in there. You can also see it the way the coolant lines are. It's hard to get real good coolant up to that tool. I don't really like those kind of coolant lines, but that's what we got. As you can tell here now, I got the machine running at 100%, at least 100% of what it's programmed for. Now that I'm confident that the program's going to do what I expect it to do without wiping out the machine and causing damage. And here's the part we're making right there. You can see it's a flange where it's 4 inches at the large diameter of the base, and you can see here where there's a radius that we're going to put in there at the mill. And there's also 2 cross holes here and here that we're going to put in there after we index the table in the machine here. There's more of a 3-dimensional view of what it's going to look like when we're done. You can see there's a hole pattern around that flange also. Okay, so far you can see that we left a step on the base of the flange there so we can come in with our 1/2-inch ball nose end mill, which will profile that radius out for us. Looks like we're in pretty good shape here. Looks like a good clean part. There is the 1/2-inch ball nose end mill that will run next. It looks pretty much like a drill, but it's actually a side cutting tool. Well, you can see here I forgot that we were going to run one more sequence on this part, which was this outside diameter right here. The step is still in there. We'll run that ball end mill next. We're still in good shape. There we go. Now you can see here where we went in there and we cleaned up that radius, how nice and clean that is, and how nice it blended in with the base of the flange and with the stub there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drill our hole pattern and drill out that bore in there, and we're going to interpolate that out with that first tool we were using. This tool you see in there now is a real long center drill. And all this is going to do is make a drill point for the rest of the drills to follow. You'll see the part after it goes through this sequence. You'll see that there's no holes in it anywhere right now. After this tool is done, it's going to leave a footprint for the rest of our tools. Maybe we can get a little bit of a visual on it, and you can see how the tool is going to move around the diameter of the part. Got her moving slow right now for demonstration purposes and to make sure that the program actually does do what I want it to do. That's it for that tool. All it needed to do is leave the footprint for the next drills. Open it up here. You can see there now where all the drill points are in there so the drills don't walk around. Now you can see here, this is a pretty big long drill in there. And what that's going to do is cut a clearance hole for the next tool that's going to go in it to finish that bore. And after this drill, then I'm going to have a smaller drill go do the finish holes around the outside diameter of the flange. Now this tool, like that long center drill, is going to do the hole pattern around the outside diameter. Now she's running pretty fast. This is a pretty fast machine. She gives a little bit of a squeal there when she marries into that drill point. That's actually a drill point doing its job. to see in there. I think this is the last hole here. There you go. Now you can see the finished holes around that outside diameter there. They look pretty nice. Looks like a nice part. Now what we're going to do is there's that drilled hole in the middle. We're going to go back in there now with that big end mill that we were using to cut the diameter on this, and we're going to cut that bore out using an end mill, and it's going to trace it around in circles as it incrementally goes deeper and deeper. Kind of hard to see how this works, but it's pretty slick. Now it's coming out with a huge chip load. It's kind of hard to see on the camera here, but I think I'm going to run that tool through one more time. You can see there that little rat's nest that tool was carrying around with it when it was making that bore. I can feel with my finger it's kind of rough. I'm going to run that tool one more time and we should have a good part. You can see here I'm going to rerun that bore. I made a little size adjustment. Our dimension here is 1 inch and 8 thou to 1 inch and 13 thou. I got a pretty small window on that for what we're doing here, but we're going to hit it. Okay, now you can see here the part is pointing directly at me, and what I'm going to do is put the side holes in it now. And what I have to do is tell the machine where the part is again, because it completely changed location at 90 degrees. So I'm going to pull up what we call my edge finder again, which is right there. It's a tool with a little spring-loaded tip on it. And when it wiggles across the top of the part, runs flat and kicks to the side, you know you found your part. There, you can see, I hope you can see, where the edge finder is barely running off center. It's got that little bit of a wiggle to it where you know you're touching the part. As soon as it kicks to that sweet spot, you know that the diameter of that tool is touching the face of my part there. Now I can move my machine 0.100 into the part, which will be dead center of my spindle, because the tool diameter is 0.200. So I'm ready to machine, and what I'm going to do here is drill through both sides, 2 places. You can see here the pallet's going to index for me. There it goes. My tool's going to pick up. Okay, and there we go. There's our side holes. You can see them going through the side of the flange there, and if you look down inside the bore, you can see them going through the part there. And that should complete our part, except for putting it in the lathe and turning off the excess stock on the back side. Okay, there we go. There's our part after a little bit of deburring and polishing. Back a couple chamfers on the holes and the edges there. I'd have to say that is a pretty sharp looking part.